Hopefully the fill-in star, Chris Kelso. You know, we have been going through a lot of rain here, and so Kevin Price has got to be out for today, but I'm filling in for him. And our first guest is a great guest. We have Rob Kosberg. Rob, how you doing?
Hey, good, Chris. Sorry to hear about all that's going on there. Of course, I'm in L.A. where we're in a drought, so crazy weather patterns, man.
Exactly. You know, so I'll tell you what, though. One of the things for the longest time, especially here in Texas and on the northern part, if you look at the Dallas area was actually really suffering in regards to their lakes. And so they've actually recovered a lot because of the amount of rainfall that we've had in Texas in general. Now, here in Houston, being in the Gulf, we've never really struggled from a rain perspective, but we've had an overabundance of rain for the past 30 days. It has been absolutely ridiculous. And what took place on May 25th in reference to the storm just coming and sort of sitting on top of Houston has really caused some fatalities and, more importantly, a lot of stress on individuals in their homes and flooding. So you know, I think we wouldn't mind having a little bit of California weather for a little bit.
Yeah, very sad. I mean, obviously we've been watching it on the news, so our prayers go out to all the people impacted, and I know that Kevin has been impacted as well, having some flooding in his house, so crazy stuff.
That is true. We really appreciate it, but, you know, as I say, the show must go on here at the Price of Business, and so, you know, one of the things we're going to be talking about today is publishing. You know, let us know, for all those listeners who are hearing you the first time, a little bit about who you are and what you do first.
Yeah, I'd love to. Well, I own a company called Bestseller Publishing, and we have a program where we help business owners, entrepreneurs, experts, speakers, etc., to write a book from scratch. We then promote the book and make the book a bestseller. We hit one of the bestseller lists, which is part of our guaranteed program. And then we teach them to profit from that by building their platform, getting speaking engagements, PR, TV, radio, et cetera, and generating leads for the business. So we call that Publish, Promote, Profit. It's a trademark program and a lot of fun. So happy to share any more about that or just general stuff about the publishing industry as well.
Now, this is an ongoing series that you've been doing with Kevin in regards to this. You know, I've always been very interested because I've had one of the things that I've done in the past. Before being in the mortgage industry myself, I actually did a lot of consulting and cost management. I actually co-authored a book a long time ago with the Consortium for Advanced Manufacturing, and it was very interesting to go through the process of getting together with multiple authors, writing a book, getting it to publish, obviously the editing, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot more, and it's a lot more that goes into it than just sitting down one day, putting pen to paper, and then saying, I've got a book. You know, and that's sort of what your organization does, basically, is you assist individuals to maybe who have that dream to as you mentioned right there, publish, promote, and profit, to really do so.
Yeah, no question. In fact, one of the biggest mistakes we see people make is oftentimes people feel like they've overcome great odds or they've, built some type of great success in their lives, and they want to tell their story. And what we let people know is, look, if your last name is not, Kardashian or Clinton or something like that, Bush, you probably don't want to write your autobiography because, readers are not interested in people they don't know just from a story perspective. But what you can do is you can take your incredible story and you can package it to help other readers. So, what we do is we help our authors to package their stories, their successes, their expertise so that it appeals to their marketplace. It positions them as the expert. And I was in the real estate industry previously, and I got into publishing kind of through the back door because I wrote my own book that became a bestseller, and it opened up tremendous doors to me. So that was just in the last 7 or 8 years.
And that's one of the things that's very interesting is you mentioned it's just one piece of a platform that you end up creating. I mean, a lot of times individuals who are great public speakers, who want to do something, who are in consulting, et cetera, the book is a great platform for you to start, but it's just the beginning of that platform for you to actually, as you mentioned, promote and profit off of that, correct?
Yeah, we have 3 phases, and the published phase is, of course, writing the correct book. And statistically, the New York Times, there was a survey in the New York Times not long ago that stated that 81% of all Americans have dreamt of writing a book, and yet only about 0.25% actually ever write it. So the first piece, the published piece, is all about helping people to overcome why they're not writing their book. And usually it's either A, they don't know what to write, or B, they don't know how to get it done. They think the only way to write it is to kind of gut it out with, on your laptop or with pen and paper. So we show them with our ghostwriting team, how they can get that done, and we actually do it for them. But as you just said, that's not the end of the story. The average book sells 200 copies in its lifetime, and 80% of those copies are sold to the author themselves, and they sit in their garage. So who wants to, spend months or years writing their definitive, work, and then only have a couple hundred people in its lifetime be interested in it? So we have the whole promote piece, which is where we take that book either that we wrote for them with the author's help or that they've written, and we then promote that to the point where it becomes a bestseller, it gains traction, and now it's in the hands of thousands, or in some cases tens of thousands or more, of their ideal clients and their audience. And so there are multiple pieces to this process, and each piece is extremely important.
You can count me in that 80% who is dying to write a book and get a message out there, not about real estate, but just about life messages and positive thinking, etc. I love that aspect of things and think I could write a lot, but you're right. I'm also part of the 80% or the remaining 79% who will probably never get to it unless I know somebody like you. And one thing pretty interesting on your website, you have something that discusses the 3 mistakes to avoid dying with your book inside you still, which I think a lot of people end up doing. They end up dying with that book inside them and not taking that next step into that journey that they possibly could. What are some of those mistakes that people make?
Yeah, the first one I made reference to, and that is, we call it the Kim Kardashian conundrum, and that's the whole idea that, people feel like they want to just tell their story. And unfortunately, they need a guide. They need to understand that the market is not, if they don't know you, the market is not interested in you. Zig Ziglar used to have this saying that everyone is tuned in to the same radio station, WIIFM. What's in it for me? And there's truth to that. So, the first mistake is just writing kind of your own story without real focused thought on how do I make this story meet a need in my market and in my audience. So it's autobiographies don't sell. What sells is meeting the need in the marketplace. So that's kind of the number one mistake that people make. There are 2 others. I can share those with you.
Absolutely.
As well, if you like.
I'd love to.
Yeah, the other, and we have kind of celebrities attached to these so people remember them, but the other one we call the Tony Robbins trouble, and that is, if you know of Tony Robbins, he's probably one of the most famous business and life coaches in the world. He, went from nothing to, creating a $1 billion brand, and he did a lot of that with the books that he's written. Well, he just wrote a new book probably within the last 4 or 5 months called Money Master the Game. Well, up until now, Tony has never really been a financial guru. And there are only 1 million financial books on the market right now. If Tony would have thought to himself, well, there are 1 million other financial books on the market, I don't really need to write a new one, and I'm really not the financial guru, then he never would have written it. He would have stopped himself from writing it. But he did write it, and it became a number 1 New York Times and Wall Street Journal bestseller, runaway hit, and has now positioned him in the financial markets as well as a guru. So the idea is, if you feel like, well, someone's already written on my topic, or there are already other books on my topic, I shouldn't write it, then you're making a big mistake. You should write it anyway, because your experiences, your story, which makes it different, will appeal to a whole different segment of the population. So don't stop yourself before you get started by saying, well, someone else has already written about it, so I shouldn't write about it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That's a good point, by the way. Because and you used a great individual when you say Tony Robbins' effect on that. So I like the way you're putting everything to that effect to make it relate. What's the third one that you've got?
Yeah, the third one we call the Ernest Hemingway error, and it's probably the biggest one that stops people. The Ernest Hemingway error is thinking that you need to be Ernest Hemingway to write a book, that you need to be some, great American author. And the truth is, most every book that you read right now that's coming out from an expert, even like Tony Robbins, is written not by people sitting down at a keyboard and typing. It's written through a different kind of process, either more traditional ghostwriting or what we call hybrid ghostwriting. Our hybrid ghostwriting process is where we basically take our authors through a process where they speak their book, and they do it in a presentation format to where every chapter is done by starting with a story, then discussing 2 or 3 main points, and then using case studies or examples to illustrate those main points. It's done in a short presentation. And anybody can do that, with a little bit of guidance and help. You don't have to be Ernest Hemingway and sit down, at a typewriter and bang out the next great American novel. Don't let that error stop you from getting started on your book.
And all those are 3 really, really good points right there. In fact, I would say those 3 points are very important to know, because a lot of times what keeps somebody like me from writing a book is one of those 3 factors you just got through mentioning right there. So very interesting.
Yep.
How can we reach you if you don't mind?
Yeah, no, our website is bestsellerpublishing.com or .org, either Bestseller Publishing. We're in Pasadena, California. They can always look us up and give us a call as well. We're there 9 to 5 Pacific, have a whole team in place to do all of these things. But probably the website is a good place to start, because there's a lot of free materials. I do a video blog, so there's a bunch of training and some different case studies that people can kind of gain some inspiration from as well.
Well, that sounds great, Rob. Again, that is Rob Kosberg. Thank you very much for being on board with us today. We're going to continue to have you back, obviously, in the future to continue on this series.
Sounds great. Great to meet you as well, Chris. Good luck with everything out there with all the flooding and whatnot. Be safe, my friend.
Likewise, my friend. You take it easy and have a great day today. Again, I am Chris Kelso with The Price of Business. We're taking a break. We'll be right back.